Grog.
Hey everyone, it's the Sideshed podcast with me, Peter Fickling, Keri Warbis and Matthew Weir. So Keri, it's the return of a wildly popular hard-drinking sex machine this week.
Brian.
Yes, your lovely Brian.
Yeah, me and him, or he and I, are just identical people, really, I
Give or
suppose.
take, yeah.
Yeah, had a lovely time in Seville. Thanks for asking.
Well, I was going to try and stitch it all together. While he was trudging the hard miles, having a business meeting with Justin, you were living La Vida Loca in sunny Seville.
Eating legs of pigs and, quaffing beautiful, beautiful wines.
I do occasionally feel guilty, like we sort of create a very one-dimensional sort of picture of you, and then you go to Seville and send us pictures like that. It's like, come on, Keri,
I know, I fell right into the stereotype there, didn't I? It was good because it was 10 degrees warmer than here, which isn't wildly warm, but people were outside eating and drinking. It was just a wonderful, different scene to go to. Loved it.
Well, I'm very jealous, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I do need to. There is a vague possibility we could all end up in Spain together, isn't there? Because I want to take Cyrus to the place you used to take your kids.
Yeah, in Mallorca.
Exactly. So maybe it is entirely possible we could all be eating beautiful, beautiful tapas all under the same umbrella.
Oh, that'd be good. I'm going back there in September. Come along.
Oh, okay, well, I'll have a word with the missus. Maybe we can
Mm.
organise something. So you were getting quite excited on Twitter about Brian returning, as you should do. I was over the moon. It's just Charles Collingwood. Beyond anything else, his voice is exquisite. And then so that started the week off, and even with Justin in the room, it was wonderful to have him back. And he has been quite soft and kind recently, hasn't he? He was showing a really kind of gentle and considered side.
Yeah, I think he's just a wonderful actor. And yes, he was lovely to Chris. He was lovely to Alice, and he burst Justin's pompous bubble, didn't he?
Yeah.
Very, very much enjoyed Brian. Just when you first hear him, something happens physically to a person. Do you not agree?
To you, Keri, I think.
Something fizzy.
I liked the bit where they had to clarify the difference between a swing and a swinger.
Yeah, well, it's a Kerry Davies week. What do you expect? That was
Yeah.
just one of his kinds of drop-ins. But yeah, and for Brian to be explaining, not a swinger, a swing. Speaking of Adam, I think this week, I've actually really enjoyed him, which felt very weird.
How many logs did you post?
Well, how many episodes was he in? I always do it as soon as he speaks in whichever episode. So there was
He was
2.
Was he in Mondays and Tuesdays? I think
It was 2, wasn't it? Yeah.
Monday was in the yogurt making boutique, whatever the correct word is, dairy. And yeah, that sort of gets us all set up, and we had this sort of delicious seduction of Susan, where Adam was kind of slowly turning the screw, being sort of oleaginously charming, and it was so well written. And so what I was thinking was, Keri, because I know that you were enjoying it, and I was wondering, like, all these years of not liking Adam, has it just been the position he's been, this rather pompous, uptight farmer, and actually freed from his awful, as he's freed from his job, we're freed alongside him.
Oh God! If only it was as simple as that. No, I just think he's been badly acted until now. To be honest, sorry, but something's happened. I really liked. Yes, you're right. He has changed as a character because he's feeling more free, and I think props to Adam the character for being the swinger, and that works for childcare reasons. And I actually was so happy when he wanted to chat to Susan, which sounds really bloody patronising, doesn't it, to want to speak to Susan? But how he did it was great. The bit of flattery, bit of an icebreaker. They got on really well. Loved that she went round to their house.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. But no, I think he's been badly played, and now only this week, he needs to keep doing this to win me round. But sounded a lot more natural conversationally, I thought.
Big turnaround for Susan, wasn't it? Because she did refuse the invitation, didn't she, at first, and then she came back later and nabbed him in the polytunnel.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But she seemed to feel a bit nervous, didn't she? It was a bit like, oh no, me at their house. Oh no, I'll have to refuse straight away. And then obviously had second thoughts and went. And she took wine and was like, I hope it's all right.
She is very insecure about sort of all issues around kind of station or kind of like social status, isn't she? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, she lives in Ambridge. Why wouldn't she be?
no, your place, Susan.
You know, when she sort of said, oh, that smell, is that Middle Eastern? I thought, you know, she's sniffing Ian's armpits at this point, or
No.
was it the cookery? I did.
Yeah, it's a tagine. It's the only thing he knows how to cook, isn't it?
Well, it was a pilaf.
Well, there was pilaf on the side, yeah. But
Oh, was it a tagine then?
I don't know. We're meant to. I think we're meant to believe that when he does a store cupboard meal, which is, you know, you just scrap around and cook what you've got hanging around the house, then it's going to end up being Moroccan for Ian, isn't it? That's his go-to. It's his go-to dish. What did you think when they started sharing secrets in the yogurt? What is it, Peter? Yogurt factory? The
Yogurt
dairy?
boutique.
Yogurt boutique.
That's the correct term. Yeah.
Yogteak.
Okay. There was that moment where, who was it? He initiated it, wasn't he? He said, why don't we tell each other something about each other? And she wanted to know about Africa, which I thought he was just going to say, well, it was a hell of a commute, right the other side of Felpersham.
That's a very good point, actually. A man who's you know lived in, was it Tanzania? You'd think he'd be a bit more robust about such things, but anyway.
Or we could just get it wrong, and he was actually a brand ambassador for Lynx Africa, and no one's ever really asked him what he was doing before.
Oh, that reminds me, when I was working on the phones in a call centre, I once thought someone lived in Tanzania. It's a bit embarrassing. Yeah, I did think she was going to start going, I've got 12 toes.
Yes, or he was going to go like, oh, I accidentally killed an electrician and hid him in the walls of the cottage.
Yes.
Sorry to go a bit Roy, but you know what someone with an extra, a supernumerary digit is called? They're called a polydactyl.
We've done this. I told you, my cat is polydactyl, and so is Gianluca Vialli.
Oh, I'm so boring. I'm sorry, everyone.
Do you remember?
Yeah, no, I do now. Okay, I'm rather pleased with that. I love that word.
In the case of a cat, it's not just. It can be polydactyl, or it can be called a Hemingway cat, because a lot of them. Hemingway lived on an island, and all of the cats on this island had thumbs.
Did we do that bit as well?
We didn't, so we got something out of it.
But
Okay,
pterodactyl, right. We mentioned pterodactyl the other day, didn't we? And that was because he was the archaeologist. So dactyl in pterodactyl, is that to do with toes as well?
And his wife is Polly.
But is dactyl the toe bit?
I remember playing Trivial Pursuit when it first came out as a kid in Cheltenham. My aunt is, actually, we mentioned before. And the science and nature question was, a polyorchid is someone with 3 or more what? And the answer was testicles.
Not flowers.
No.
Oh, God. Well, we've gone right off bloody track, haven't we, here?
Something, Adam.
Oversharing, becoming a gossip.
Yeah, they got on like a house on fire as soon as they were talking about Jean Harvey and Derek Fletcher. The floodgates opened, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was so believable. If you'd sold me the plot the week before, I think I would have been quite skeptical. And Keri Davis did a fantastic job of making it so engaging and kind of giving us that kind of fly on the wall sensation. It was really well written, and also I was immediately kind of excited for the future. I kind of feel like it could be quite a fun little sideline. You know, one of the obviously the sort of the analog within the show is that they've now got this what's it called, a speed dating thing that they're going to be doing in the Bull. But actually, that's done exactly the same thing for us, hasn't it? I mean, we're probably quite tired of listening to the same old people having the same old conversations, and actually, this is hopefully going to open up a whole load of new pairings for us as listeners.
Oh God!
Well, I don't think so. Do you? I don't know. You're very hopeful.
Yeah, I love your optimism, Peter.
I'm 2 for 2. I've polydactyls got shot down quite rightly because I'm being repetitive, and now this another one of my theories is a pile of shite.
No. I love that you're being optimistic. That's
Yeah, it's very out of character. Are
Well,
you
I have
okay?
to.
Can you check your belly for spots, Peter?
Oh,
What did you think of the whole speed dating idea, though?
well, it's social speed dating, isn't it, or something?
It's gonna,
Absolutely shit.
yeah, it's gonna drag a bit if you get stuck with Bill, isn't it? Bert.
Bill, who's that?
He's only been gone a couple of months. I forgot what his name is. I tell you, I mean, I think it's testament to this podcast that, you know, we're just shy of a year, and finally the Archers storyline has come round to who would you most like to fuck in the village.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna write the questions, aren't they? In a really sort of as if it's gonna make them find out more about people. But are people aren't going to shout out their answers, are they? Do you know? I didn't understand that because you know it's timed for 2 minutes. You're moving around tables. You ask the person opposite you, who do you find most annoying in the village or whatever. No one else is going to hear that. Well, it depends how many people are there. There's probably only going to be one couple or something. I don't know who is going to attend this event.
Didn't they, the precursor, they've already kind of had a dry run at this with Trevor, haven't they? Didn't they kind of speed date, trying to go in rounds to talk to him because he was supposedly so boring, where in fact he was actually the most interesting person in the bull that night?
Maybe there'll be a badger card when the person opposite you is doing your head in.
Yes. Yeah, that would be great.
Mm. Yeah, this idea is silly in so many ways. The village all know each other. Who would go, as I've said already about 1 second ago. They did say, Kenton and Jolene are trying to get a more general crowd in. So they're trying to attract others.
I mean, it could be a way of getting some other characters, gently introducing some other characters like the Gills or like some other people from the Beechwood estate. But I mean, for instance, Jim and Jazza are a good example of a kind of like an odd couple. How did they get to know each other? I can't remember what the genesis of their friendship was.
Did one of them knock the other unconscious in a garden because they were looking for mushrooms?
Who did that? That was
Fleur and Archie Button.
Yes, yeah. He was looking for a rare sample of a mushroom in her garden.
Yeah, well, we've all done that, haven't we?
Yeah. While we're on that subject, Keri, you're
Yeah.
quite a stylish. You're a style icon and with a bit of a retro flair. Have you inherited your mother's feisty genes?
No. Good gag though. My mother isn't feisty, and nor does she wear jeans, so it didn't quite work.
Well, you didn't have to say that.
I'm sorry. But she's not feisty. She's much more lovely than I am, and she listens to this. So hello, Mum.
I think I might have heard Ma Warbis in the background on a phone call, but I don't think I've ever actually spoken to her directly. So yeah, hello, Mrs. Warbis. Thank you, Mrs. Warbis, for the gift that is Keri. So Jim and Jazza an odd couple. What other potentially entertaining pairings? I mean, obviously Russ with anyone. We've had Russ already, haven't we? We had him paired off with a few people where there's been a kind of like him and Chelsea are a quite good sort of odd couple who've worked. I mean, so who else might there be?
I mean, Russ always works comedically, as Anthony said, when they put him up against someone who will pinprick the pomposity of the character, wasn't it? He said, and that works perfectly. I don't know, but isn't the Archers all about awkward couples and people bristling against each other? I felt this was a little bit of let's just have an episode of the Archers in game form in the pub.
But this isn't about couples, is it? This is another element of weirdness. It's a Valentine's night thing, which should be all about, in theory, romance, couples, blah blah blah. This on Valentine's night is a friendly thing for people to chat and have a laugh.
Jeez, who wants to do that in the pub? Essentially, that's like be the pub nutter that goes from table to table, annoying everyone.
But it's funny that the idea that people will go to the pub and actually speak to each other is now made into a game, because that would never happen normally. Surely, I speak to anybody. I'll speak to anyone in the street and stuff. I am the nutter. I've just realised.
Yeah. I wondered why you didn't react to that. I mean, it's
I
hard
know
to see it when you're so close to it.
it is. Please tell me who will go to this thing from Ambridge. Who will go?
That's what I was. I think that's what I was kind of trying to get
Yeah,
to.
but
Like,
you were saying couples, weren't you? And it's
no,
not couples.
I meant like the odd couple, what's his name, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemon.
Ah,
You know,
who might be sitting opposite each other on these tables, do you mean?
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Jacob, I imagine, will be dragged down there by Kate for some amusing hijinks. He'll have an unlikely friendship with someone. Oh God, who could it
Jacob
possibly
and
be?
Joy would be good.
Oh yes, they're both massively into macrame or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Joy's into everything though, isn't she? I mean, she's wonderful. There's not a hobby under the sun she hasn't had a go at.
Do you think Stella, I was thinking, might be part of this whole thing? Sitting opposite Ruth, they play footsie. Next thing you know, they're in the toilets.
Look at that. You give and then you take away. You give with Stella and then immediately. We just had a week without Ruth. Why would you bring her up, Keri? Come on.
Because they've got the hots for each other long
They,
term, haven't they?
this has been a very popular theory recently, and I'm just desperate for it not to be true. I just refuse to believe it because the thought of it turns my stomach. The thought of just like Ruth, as with many characters for me, is completely asexual. I cannot abide the thought of them on the job.
Speaking of that, someone tweeted me this week saying that they find her voice very, what's the word? Arousing.
I'm not. I'm kind of on board with that. I like her voice. I
But
always liked it.
not anything she says
Yeah,
with
but
it.
Matthew, you're polyhorny when it comes to all of the characters. There's barely a female character you don't get all kind of geared up for.
Oh, Matthew has a fan, don't you, Matthew?
Oh yeah.
Viv, the lovely Viv. Because on Twitter, people were saying, "Oh, who do you like in the village?" or blah blah blah. Because I think I tweeted about Shag, Marry, Kill. That's what they're going to play at the ball. And she said, Viv said, I must admit that Matthew Weir is my crush.
Yeah. Blushed a bit at that.
Yeah, good on you, Viv.
It's not the same one, but I dated a Viv when I lived in Ireland for a bit.
Oh,
Probably shouldn't say that, but anyway.
oh, why not?
No, it's fine. No, we're still mates. It's all good.
Okay. You're not going to ask us to edit that out later, are you?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to have to bury another MP3 file in the garden.
Hopefully we don't have any recordings of what we said before we go on air. That would have to go into a vault somewhere, I think.
Ooh.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a Chernobyl style carapace would have to be kind of like concrete carapace would have to be put around it, so it could serve out its several millennia of half-lives.
It's a lead-lined sarcophagus.
Exactly.
Right,
yeah.
Matthew, we know who you'd like to be hooked up with. It's Fallon, isn't it?
Even my mum knows that, and she's never listened to the bloody Archers.
And Peter, who's your crush?
Well, I mean, someone I feel this is age inappropriate, but someone that I think that I would have a lot of fun with if they could be more age appropriate would be Chelsea. I think Chelsea seems like. I imagine if we're forgetting about the fact that I'm 47 and she's like in her late teens, but if I went to the pub, that she seems like someone that I'd be like, oh, this seems like I'd be having a fun evening. Or maybe Tracy, or maybe I don't know, but it's more about like who I'd have fun with, than sort of like getting turned on by their voice. I mean, if it's just like who is the most kind of who's got the most attractive voice? I think it's very cliched and boring, but Elizabeth has a very nice voice, doesn't she?
Ah,
no,
okay.
Doesn't do it for you.
Well, not for me, no. But
should we play the game? Why, Keri? Who do you find attractive on the Archers?
Well, having looked at the, I was enlightened during the week that Chris, the actor who plays Chris, he's quite. I don't know how he's passed my radar before now, but
yeah, he's a chef as well.
I know, professional chef. Bloody hell, looks like that. Because I was going to say Ben but same as you, Peter. I was thinking, oh no, age gap's far too big. I can't say Ben.
Yeah, and also Ben, but not Ben the actor, but the character. Ever since he became sort of like I was
Worthy
joking about it
nursey.
last week. Oh my god, thank you. Yes, just like,
Mm.
oh, you're a nurse, are you? Yeah, here we are again. Oh, yes, he's so nice, isn't he? Oh, listen to how close he is to his grandmother. It's just, and also that kind of saccharine sweet relationship with Beth is turning my stomach as well. So that's kind of put a dent into my love for dear Ben.
Mm.
Are you talking about my new best mate on Twitter, Ben?
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah. Um, he was on. He was on. Did you hear the what's it called? Saturday Live. He was on a couple of weeks ago, being very sincere and affectionate about his time on the Archers.
Yeah, I saw it in the mentions. I didn't actually hear it though. Yeah.
He's a very lovely man.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, no, absolutely. But he was being very gushing about how much he liked his time on the Archers, and he was being very affectionate about Tim Benting as well. Because I was driving the car, so I was catching
Mm.
snippets of it in between caterwauling children from the child from the back seat. That's actually been part of the problem this week for me. Is it's been a bit of a busman's holiday, having to listen to the travails of an ill household
Mm.
from an ill household.
Oh, there's always illness in your household, Peter. I'm a bit
Not me.
worried.
I'm not allowed to be ill. But it's and he's 2.5. He's 2.5, so it comes
Yeah.
and goes quickly, doesn't it? But I did listening to Alice
Mm.
struggle with dear little Martha. Is it Martha? What is
Well
it?
done, Peter. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dear little Martha's chicken pox. I was like, oh gosh,
Mm.
yeah. Purely from a selfish point of view, it didn't really do much for me.
Yeah, like Chris has got shingles. He gave chickenpox to Martha because of his shingles. I mistakenly asked Twitter, "Is shingles contagious?" And I have had a stream of varying answers about. I can't even be bothered to go into it to be honest, but Google it. Um, yeah,
It's horrible, isn't it?
have you two had chickenpox?
Yes.
I assume so as a kid. Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, because we had a bit of a scare when we were in Brazil with my someone in the extended family got chickenpox for the first time, and then there was that whole thing, like you said, Kerry, like what can you get from one
Yeah.
person to the next, and it's like a one-way street, isn't it? It can go one way, but it doesn't go the other, and I can't quite remember exactly
Not
how it
even as
works.
simple as that either. It depends which of them you've already had. Oh, God. And whether you get in touch with the blisters and
Hang on, like
yeah.
we don't want to be. I mean, we go out on Spotify. We don't want to be sharing medical misinformation because
Yeah.
next thing we know, Lynyrd Skynyrd are going to demand that their music be taken off the platform.
Yeah, Joni Mitchell will have nothing to do with us.
Like she always bloody did.
I know, she's all over us normally.
Did you feel sorry for? I mean, how did you feel about the whole Alice Chris thing this week? I don't think I need to say anything. I think everyone can predict my opinions, but
The thing that annoyed me about it was where she suddenly went, "You take her, mother, and look after her forever," all of a sudden. And I get she's panicking a bit and worrying. But as bless Jennifer, she did well this week. She said, "No, you need to, this is part of motherhood. It's like this, whether you're an alcoholic or not. It's stressful. I'm here if you need me. I'll give you breaks. All of that." She said exactly the right things. I felt. Um, but and then all of a sudden, Alice went round to Chris's with Martha, didn't she? To sort of have a little visit, and Chris got all excited.
Don't forget, we also had Amy setting pulses racing in the middle of all this.
Oh, God. Why is she so unlikable? She is to me, anyway. I'm not speaking for everybody. Am I?
well, there was the she took a big dip for me. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago when she did her kind of like Babe and Love and all that thing for about.
Yeah.
I just it's the we've this is well worn ground, but basically it's the criteria that the three of us have for what we consider to be a likable Archer's character is not the criteria for a decent person in real life. I'm sure Amy would be the
Mm.
best person to have around you in real life, but just like the same thing with Ben, too worthy, too sincere, no sense of humour. I think that's the common factor between all of them. You can't
Yeah.
imagine having a laugh with Ben anymore. Amy, my God, does she ever crack a joke? Or if she does crack a joke, it's kind of like super obvious, right? It's like it's like one show
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah, there's no edge to her, is there? No side. I like the edge and side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew, you're laughing a bit too
I'm
much.
just surprised, Keri, that that you haven't suggested that, because they said shingles can be brought on by stress, and perhaps like all that stress came from Chris having to go up those tricky stairs to the flat.
I thought you meant because Amy's been near you, you're likely to get shingles because she stresses you out so much. That's true, the treacherous stairs.
Famous stairs. I mean, shingles is supposed to be absolutely bloody horrid.
Yeah, I know a couple of people that have had it. Yeah.
Yeah, someone put on Twitter, I wish I could remember who it was, is this, it might be Marcus. No, I don't think it was. Anyway, because everyone has avoided COVID, haven't they? Is this their sort of version of some sort of infectious thing?
In 2 years of the coronavirus, we've already had more information about shingles in 1 week than we have about the coronavirus in 2 years. I mean, it's quite something. I don't know. I am gonna give my opinion. I'm just bored of Chris and bored of Alice. So basically, I just listen. I barely listen to their bits at the moment. I just can't summon up any care or enthusiasm.
I made very few notes for Chris and Alice. Once, particularly on the re-listen, because I knew what was coming. I was like, nah, I'm not. I know what I want to say about this, and it was just that I found the whole. I mean, Alice's the whole thing was like a mild version of tough love from Jennifer, wasn't it? No, you're going to have to do this, and
yeah, kind of tough, but I'll come here whenever you want me to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that whole thing about the fact that there is a risk that she will pick up the bottle, but it seemed like it was a risk that Jennifer was willing to take.
Let's move on to Phoebe then. Let's ditch those boring people.
In terms of a change of gear, that's like, I don't know, switching from one shade of beige to another. Oh, I forgot. Spoiler alert from the WhatsApp thing earlier on. Yeah, you were a bit more affectionate about. Go on then, Keri. Give me the sales pitch. Why am I wrong?
Imagine having Kate as your mum. Just for a moment, imagine that.
Yeah, but Sixtus Rees-Mogg's probably a bell end. The fact that he's got Jacob as his dad doesn't mean Sixtus is a
No. I don't mean that she's a bell end. I mean, I feel for her having to deal with her as a parent. And I thought, she's wanting to branch out and move to north of Glasgow, which is the Highlands. And Kate didn't listen to anything she was saying, jumped to the conclusion that she had a boyfriend, didn't even know how old Roy was. She's so self-absorbed, Kate, isn't she? Brilliant character, but bloody hell, annoying to have as a mother.
Quite intense listen.
Yeah, she's got this amazing opportunity to be director of business development at a microalgae seaweed place.
Yeah.
And I think, it's in Scotland. She daren't tell her mum that that's what she's going to do. And I think Roy was great because he was very excited for her. And then he was still excited for her when she said it was in Scotland. I just think poor Phoebe, go on, love, go and do it and fuck Kate, because she was barely in the same continent as any of her kids. So if Kate dares to have a strop about this, I will hunt her down.
So your entertainment came from being sort of feeling a kind of surge of maternal protective instinct towards Phoebe.
Yeah, definitely. I think, she's probably been a bit stifled by Ambridge and stifled by her mum.
Yeah.
It was all set up a little bit as well with her lunch with Phoebe, wasn't it? Where Kate was saying, "Oh, it's hard being away from her other children, but at least I've got you here."
Yeah.
And then and that was obviously setting up this thing about the fact that she wants to go off to Scotland. I mean, can I just say, probably most of my time this week was spent trying to come up with algae gags. And I got nothing.
Where does the Highlands begin, by the way?
Glasgow, just about 1 centimetre north of it.
Where does it begin, though? I don't know why I'm asking. We don't know, do we? But it's definitely not that, is it?
I should know. My mum's from Scotland. I'll ask her.
Okay. And, you made the point, didn't you, Peter, before we started recording, that Keri Davies said he did not write that line.
Yeah.
Well, he said it was rewritten, didn't he? he defended that. I mean, Peter, we've missed an obvious step here. Where the Highlands? It's just where they filmed Highlander, obviously.
I think Keri's had her chlorophyll of Highlands content recently. Sorry, I was just trying to get an algae joke in there somehow.
Well done, Pete.
Oh,
Yeah.
I seaweed what you did there.
The dam is broken. Yeah, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, I got a Columbo box set this week, as you both know all too well. That's been filling up our WhatsApp group. I'm feeling very good. If I can sell Columbo to Matthew, Keri, that might be where this is going. Columbo.
Are you not a fan already, Matthew?
No, I like Columbo.
Ah.
I mean, I'm not as massive a fan of it as Peter is. Can I just say, by the way, I took a screenshot from our group chat because I thought at some point that might be useful. Peter sending the photo of the Columbo box set. It's incredible. It's incredible piece of kit you got there. Did you like
bargain?
Yeah. Did you like him in Wings of Desire?
Before we go too far down this rabbit hole that I created, what were we were talking about the Highlands north of Glasgow. Oh yeah, back to Columbo. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, Peter Falk is Columbo. Columbo is Peter Falk. I really find sort of, all other. It's like Ted Danson with Cheers. When I see Ted Danson and other things apart from Curb Your Enthusiasm, I get a bit sort of irritated. It's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you behind the bar?
Peter Falk has like a kind of a walk-on, walk-off moment in Wim Wenders' Wings of Desire, and it's a just classic Wim Wenders, very abstract moment, but he's in it.
What, as Columbo?
Well, I think he's in it, and he has a conversation with one of the main, I think the protagonist, and then he walks off, and then someone said, "Was that Columbo?" And then they said, "What, in that old jacket?" or something like that. Very strange. I'll have to look it up on YouTube.
I mean, one of the things about Columbo, very, very briefly, is that I've always been one of the things I find fascinating about it is to watch Peter Falk kind of curate his own demise, because the quality of the later shows, because it went from being this cutting edge, absolutely sort of like, winning all the awards, super well respected show in the kind of 70s to being absolute kind of polyfiller mid-afternoon nonsense in the 90s. So, and he was there the whole time, executive producing it. So it's quite remarkable to see a man, stick around. It's like kind of like with the one club footballers like Matt Le Tissier, just slightly plump when he turns up at Southampton and looks like a pregnant seahorse when he finished there.
And then becomes like a conspiracy theorist nonce as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's very disappointing.
I know,
because that's quite a big box picture that you've shown us of the DVDs. How many series of Columbo are there?
I will come up with. I will take a picture that gives everyone the very small number of people who care the information they need to fully appreciate. How
do you think you've seen them all at least once in your life, or are you really excited to see?
This is my big fear: is actually that I've seen them all.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Have you seen the one with Leonard Nimoy?
Oh yes, a Stitch in Time, I believe it's called.
Oh Jesus Christ, he knows.
He knows the f***ing titles.
Oh yes. But I mean, this is how do we get this back to the Archers?
Can I just ask you something that's Archers related that I wrote down? A question I wanted to ask you both, which is right. Phoebe was talking to herself on the Sunday episode with her books and putting the laptop there, going higher, higher. Yes, that's right. Susan was talking to herself about the blueberry yogurt. Do you talk out loud to inanimate objects? And I don't mean to me.
I talk out loud a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I practice. Sometimes I do a little practice of how I'm going to present something in the class.
That's not the same. Do you, if you're sort of making a coffee or something, do you talk to the kettle? Or, do you speak out loud as you're about your business?
I do have a story. I'm trying to think if I've got the guts to tell it on the podcast or not.
Go for it.
It's a very famous story. It's a very famous story of my friends, a group of my friends. Basically, I used to have this thing. It started when I was a teenager, where I used to, when I was going with number twos, I obviously had time to have a think. So I used to have a little think about how I would rob a bank. That was always something I would do. And it's over time, this evolved to kind of thinking about kind of like assassinations Okay, basically how to perform perfect crime, right? And I was walking out of a unisex toilet in a bar, and I muttered to myself out loud, what was it? Bang, bang, tap. Something like double tap, which is like the way you shoot someone. And there was this queue of people in this bar staring at me like I was an absolute fucking freak. Because what did I scream it out loud in the cubicle? I can't remember. No, that's right. I screamed it. I screamed out double tap in the cubicle. Because I've been working at home for so long, like I'd forgotten how to behave in public. And there I was. I had to walk out the cubicle, and there was this queue of mainly women just staring at me because I was this freak who'd walked out of the cubicle shouting at myself.
I'm so glad I asked that question.
Yes, I do talk
why
out loud.
were there
Keri.
women outside the
Unisex. It was a
cubicle?
unisex
Oh,
cubicle.
you did say that. Yep. Okay. I don't know why that's my only question, to be honest.
I'm terrified.
So basically, I screamed double tap, and was heard, and without context. That's all they heard was that's what But,
Marvelous. I love that you spent shitting time cooking up murders.
Is that almost sounds like a euphemism for shitting?
Yes. I cooked up a right murder just now. Leave it 10 minutes, would you?
I'm sending that into the Profanosaurus in Viz.
Because you can have solid murders and messy murders, can't you? I'm literally obsessed with true crime and keep listening to loads of podcasts. If anyone follows me on Twitter, they will have seen that I asked which are the best true crime podcasts, and I got a huge list and I posted it. I'm fascinated by true crime stuff. So you're showing all the signs, Pete, of being a serial killer, to be honest.
Yeah, when this is being used on Panorama or Dispatches in a couple of years' time, and me and Keri are just sat there going, "Well, he seemed okay.
Yeah, we'll be dead. He'll have met us."
No. I think this is the opposite, because the serial killer is supposed to always be the quiet guy, quiet, unassuming guy. I'm the opposite. Everything's out there for everyone knows everything about me. There's no secrets, no hidden.
They're not always quiet and unassuming.
Yeah,
Believe me.
There was that serial killer in America that went on their version of Blind Date, wasn't there? And
that was Ted Bundy was the one who went on Blind Date, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was it Rodriguez? I think it wasn't Ted Bundy.
Maybe. No, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Hey, maybe there can be a serial killer at this Valentine's night.
Well, Valentine's night, I checked, by the way, that's going to fall on a Monday. So do you think we get to hear this episode?
I bloody hope so, after all this month-long build-up to it and them constructing the questions so that we all learn funny things about everybody.
It'd be good if they tied in the awkward crushes with who people end up sat with. And then we've got this insight into the fact that, because Ian fancies Lee, doesn't he, from a purely physical point of view.
Yeah.
Adam fancies
Alistair if he's in his vet scrubs.
Yes, yeah. And then when Susan was like, "Oh, this is very embarrassing," I thought she was going to say Philip Moss.
I fancy both of you two.
Yeah,
let's get it on.
Bring dessert upstairs.
Yeah,
a Susan sandwich.
But she did say, like, and if you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago, I'd have said nobody. But now that I've seen David in the mysteries,
he was commanding. He was commanding.
Masterful.
Oh, sorry. Give or take.
Yeah.
So, Keri, you have to. You're running late for your trip to the pub.
I am. Yep. Well, yeah. I am just popping down the hill on Southover Street to meet two lovely women. My best friend Keri, spelt differently, and another woman called Christy. So it's it's KKK.
The KKK.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm the problem, eh? Right. Okay.
Oh no, so sorry.
God, medical misinformation. Now we're mentioning the KKK.
Peter with his weird shouting on the toilet. So Keri's off to do the exact opposite of the Bulls' weird dating, non-dating thing. Matthew, what are you up to tonight?
I'm chilling. I've got a glass of wine to my right. I'm got a bunch of fluorescent pens to my left, and I'm only saying that so it completes the sentence. I'm going to go and sit on the sofa and do the square root of all because I've got work at 7 in the morning.
Oh.
Nice work.
That's all right. I've counted how many Saturdays there are left now until the end of semester.
Until you die.
A bit like Keri, a bit like.
Sorry.
little spoiler, it might be over at Easter, by the way.
What, you're going to die at Easter?
I won't be over at Easter. I might be over in England at Easter.
Well, you were over at Christmas and you didn't fit us in. So
I know, but Christmas, it was all a bit nuts at Christmas, wasn't it? Hopefully
we've
it'll be
got to get together.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be less nuts.
So that Peter can kill us.
Yes.
I'm a lazy serial killer. I want my victims to do all the hard work. So Keri, if people want to find what have we promised on social media? Columbo box sets, various other bits and bobs. Assuming that makes the edit.
I hope it does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think a bit of the Columbo has to go. Man alive, that was a lot of Columbo for one episode.
No.
But, well,
leave it in. Anyway, we're on Twitter. We're at the Cider Shed Pod, and we have 1,812 fabulous followers. How amazing is that? Like nearly 2,000. So we need 188 to get to the big 2K. Help us do that. I'm doing my little bit to try to attract people. But any help you can give us is much appreciated. Also, we need some February 5-star reviews, please. We've got some brilliant January ones. Please write some lovely. In fact, don't write anything. Just put a 5-star review on and just say, I don't know. I don't care what the words are, really.
I'm loving that, that kind of transitional review that we got from the person that said, "Don't listen to the Archers. Love the podcast."
Oh yes, they literally do not listen to the Archers, and just listen to us. How?
It seems absolute madness, but thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, we love you very much.
Yeah, some of the finest people on the earth do that, I reckon. My mum does.
So does mine. She did not write that review, by the way.
No, my mum did. Oh, yeah, the chances of my mum actually managing to figure out how to write a review on iTunes definitely wasn't her.
Oh, you just incentivized it. Yeah. And if
1-star review incoming, Matthew's mum, 12756.
If any of our mums want to get in touch via email, it's hello@cidershed.com. And Matthew, Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, we're the same handle on Instagram as we are on Twitter. It's at the Cider Shed Pod, and we have a Facebook group page which is called the Cider Shed Podcast. So I posted on there tonight that we were recording on a Friday night. So the photo's up there of me in my vaguely cushioned, soundproofed spare bedroom, ready to go.
Well done.
Good stuff. Well, it's good to have us all back together, the full set. It was a lot of fun doing it with Matthew last week, but it always does feel a bit weird, doesn't it, doing it as a pair? It's always nice to have
it's nice when it's all three of us. Yeah. Like the way that you're appearing in my Zencaster, it's currently a Keri sandwich.
Now you're the filling, Matthew, on my Zencaster.
I'm easy.
Okay. Are you a swinger like Adam?
Well, with that horrible image ringing in your ears, have a lovely week, everyone.
See you next week.
See you, everyone. Bye.